Today I want to talk about food allergies, hidden food allergies, and how that can relate to a number of health problems in your body. This is actually why hidden food allergies. I'm so obsessed with GMOs is because I have a corn allergy and I didn't know about it for years. It's also why I can't work in mainstream medical society because when I worked at a physical therapy clinic, a woman was complaining about her food intolerances, and I actually suggested a certain diagnostic test that she could get. I didn't tell her any diagnosis. I just suggested a test that she could get to help her, and my boss reamed me and said I shouldn't give health advice. So here I am on my own channel using the power of free speech. I'm not going to give you health advice. I'm going to talk about my personal journey. So I do want to talk to you about what happens when you eat food and it goes into your intestines. Obviously, that's where the digestion goes on. And you're supposed to break the protein. There's proteins, carbs, and fats and fiber. Fiber just kind of ferments and makes you gassy and then goes out the other end. Carbs have their own process. Fats have their own process, and proteins have their own process for digestion for your body to use them as energy. Proteins need to get broken down to a certain level of peptides. They don't need to be these huge chunks of food that end up in your bloodstream. And when that happens, that causes problems. I'm going to start saying my instead of your because the Healthy Freedom Act hasn't exactly passed yet. And Ron Paul just retired. Maybe he can be the president of Texas, though, if they secede. So protein, let's just say that there's a protein in corn that I'm allergic to, which I am because I know because I got a scratch test and an allergist that showed me that. So let's just say when I eat corn, that protein goes into my gut, and just like the scratch test on my arm showed like a welt and itchy redness, that's what's happening inside my gut when I eat corn. So the corn touches my intestines and they get red and inflamed, and I guess they might be itchy if I could feel that. But what I would feel is stomach pain, and yes, I would literally have pain after I ate. It wasn't fun. And for a long time I blamed Accutane because Accutane, I took it when I was 18, shortly after the severe acne and other things started. And that has also been shown to cause like Crohn's disease and all kinds of things. And I was only on that for like 3 months and I got off because I did start having suicidal thoughts. And that was a side effect of Accutane. And so they took me off of it early. And I'm so thankful that I don't have Crohn's or IBD or any of that. But I do think that that just made me even more susceptible to this corn thing. And the cascade of problems that come after that, including neurological problems, mental illness, skin problems, a lot of things that I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's just say that my gut, because it is allergic to corn, doesn't digest this protein because as soon as the corn touches it, my body goes into defense gear and goes out of digestive gear. And because my gut is inflamed, the villi and the microvilli kind of spread apart and they get bigger gaps, much like people with gluten sensitivities. It's been shown to happen. And so what that means is bigger chunks of food proteins are going into my bloodstream. Well, where do these food proteins go? I mean, my body doesn't have any way of recognizing them. It's not a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's not a nutrient, because it's too big. All my digestive enzymes should be kind of in my gut. If I'm lucky, I might have some enzymes in my blood, which you can take enzymes. I do take enzymes. I didn't accidentally. I gave in and ate some things with cornstarch, and I had I just get these gigantic pimples because I believe that my body packages those proteins up and ships them out however they can. So it comes out of my skin. And my skin is so much clearer now that I figured out I'm allergic to corn and stopped eating it. But anyway, if you can take an enzyme, this one is Enzymatica. It's actually called Virus Stop, but it's enzymes, okay? Some of them are called digestive enzymes. Some of them are enteric-coated proteolytic enzymes. I actually just added this to my Amazon store on Eden Cultures so that you can purchase it there if you're interested. For me, it's kind of like getting rid of those undigested food proteins. And I literally had this monster pimple the other day, 2 days ago, and it's disappearing into my skin. Not out. Like, it's just shrinking and going away. It's amazing. And I actually had a lump here in my ear that was like some sort of a cyst, and it literally just is disappearing since I've been taking this virus stop. It's really amazing. And those aren't viruses. Those are just weird proteins that my body is trying to package up and get rid of. And some people might have cysts or whatever. So what other damage can it do besides packaging it up into acne? Well, it doesn't, it can also land in my joints. And I used to have joint pain. I was 26, 27 years old having joint pain. That's not cool. So, some people can associate that with fluoride toxicity because fluoride makes your bones brittle, and then the calcium starts depositing on the outside of your bones, and then you get these gigantic knuckles. And so I also have in the past taken Osteo FX Plus by Youngevity because it has boron in it. But also cleaning up that debris, that protein junk in your body that your digestive system didn't get a chance to get, to break down before it got in there. That's so helpful to me, not you. It's not helpful to you because I can't give you health advice. I talked about the acne. I talked about the pain in my gut. I talked about the pain in my joints. I have struggled with depression and anxiety for a very long time. And I'm still struggling with it. But I can tell you that when my stomach stopped hurting all the time, because I had been taking probiotics before that, and I didn't understand why it wasn't fixing my problem. Well, when you're inflamed, those probiotics, they can't, it's kind of like planting seeds in a ground that's like hard clay. You know what I mean? You have to till the soil. So my intestinal walls were so inflamed that the probiotics couldn't stick. They couldn't do their job. I had to remove the corn and remove the inflammation before the probiotics worked. And probiotics did help me with some of my issues, more the OCD kind of things than the depression and anxiety. But because OCD has actually been associated with a certain bacteria thriving in your gut. So maybe, I was allergic to corn, my gut got inflamed, different bacteria grew than should have grown. And so I started having some obsessive compulsive tendencies. I was never diagnosed with that. When I tackled that inflammation, and I did that by removing the corn, I did juice some raw cabbage for a week or two. And I wouldn't recommend you juicing raw cabbage for a long time. I wouldn't recommend you juicing raw cabbage at all because I'm not giving health advice. But if you were to juice raw cabbage, you may not want to do it for a long time because it does have some thyroid blocking chemicals in it. But it also has a nutrient in it called vitamin U that has been known to heal ulcers. I really think I had ulcerated tissue, and that really calmed it down. How else does that tie into anxiety besides my obsessive compulsive tendencies? I do have some would say an irrational fear of GMOs, but if you've been through what I've been through and realized that corn is the main culprit and corn is GMO, you might have that fear too. And actually, it's not irrational. It's very rational to not want to do something that causes you physical and emotional pain, such as meat and corn. But what about anxiety? There is a field of study called orthomolecular medicine, and it's very interesting to me. And schizophrenia, there's been some studies done that the food proteins that enter people's blood, meaning their gut is messed up, get into their brain and just totally mess them up. There's another field of research emerging, which is about how our gut relates to our neurotransmitters. So you're thinking brain is neuroscience, but what they're discovering is your gut makes 90 to 95% of your neurotransmitters, and it has its own neurobiology. Your gut has a separate brain. And there's a book called The Second Brain, which is for sale also in my Amazon store. So my gut was messed up, and my body couldn't make enough serotonin or other neurotransmitters that are made in your gut. And maybe, instead of needing Zoloft or Paxil or Celexa, maybe I just simply needed to stop eating this food that my body was allergic to, and then my body was desperately trying to give me signals to stop.